Hello, all. It is almost 9 o'clock in the evening, and it is time for a beer review. Yes, I'm all hype, aren't I? I don't know why I'm all hype. I guess because I'm almost done with my backlog. I only got about like maybe 7 more videos to upload. So in about a week or two, I'm going to be all caught up, man. And yeah, you'll be seeing reviews like the night after I do them, or at least a couple days after I do them anyway. And I gotta find something else to do in the evenings. So, what are we reviewing today? Well, I decided to go to Three Peaks. Haven't been there in a while. Seems like they got new staffing there. So yeah, the girl there was like quite young, and she didn't seem to like. I'm kind of hoping that she knew how to operate the growler thing correctly. So their growler filler is pretty complex. So it's like got these multiple controls and everything, and what it does is that it force carbonates the beer from in there inside the growler in like a pressurized chamber that lets up. And it's actually kind of tricky to go and prime it just right. And I'm not sure if she primed it just right because it didn't look correct. And it's hard to explain, but there's a way that it looks when it's being done that didn't seem to look like that. So yeah. Well, anyways, this is from Lokahi Brewing, and this is called Grandma's Oatmeal Stout. An oatmeal stout, unsurprisingly. And I believe I've only reviewed one of those ever before. And I've maybe had, maybe about 2 or 3 of them. They're not too common here in Hawaii, either being brewed by local brewers or for sale at bottle shops. So, Samuel Smith is probably the only one that you'll find pretty commonly here in Hawaii. So I'm kind of hyped to go and try this. This is 6.0 to 6.3 ABV. So the brewery itself has it labeled as 6.3. Three Peaks has it labeled as 6.0 ABV. And, ABVs can vary in between batches, so I wouldn't put too much stock in the difference there. So, yeah, without much further ado, let's go and get this open. Oh, God. Okay, let's try a thicker piece of paper here. I really need, a few months back I injured my hand, so it's like really difficult for me to open tight things now. Oh. Oh, there we go. Good news. I heard a hiss, so that means that carbonation was successful. Pouring it, in course, into a stout glass. Because why wouldn't I? As my friend in Stoneyard Brewing's Stoneyard Vineyard says, why wouldn't I thought that's a wonderful thing to go and adopt. Like I've adopted whatnot. Why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I put it in stout glass, eh? So, very opaque. Looking at the base here, seems like only light coming through the base is a sort of yellow amber, but otherwise completely opaque, with a thick dark beige head. With light coffee notes, nuts, brown bread. Touch of baking oatmeal cookies and brown sugar. And of course, chocolate. Now, onto the palate now, shall we? Actually, pretty nicely carbonated. Dry finish. Not very much hops in that finish, but that's perfectly fine. And of course, that characteristic I find in many oatmeal stouts, a very silken, smooth mouthfeel. But unlike milk stouts, there's no sweetness there. This is fairly dry, but still a nice silken smoothness on the mouth. Just a tactile feel. Sort of dry, roasted nut taste in the mids. Pretty mild. It's not like a very sharp tasting nut. Mild tasting nut, but definitely roasted. There is a hop bitterness to the finish. It's just, it blends in very well with the malt dryness. And this is an exceptionally dry stout. What gets me is how, while there are coffee and chocolate notes in the nose, there really aren't many coffee or chocolate notes on the mouth. It's very much nutty, and while there is that roasted taste, it doesn't taste like roasted coffee. It tastes like roasted nuts. The mouthfeel, while very smooth, is a bit on the thin side. I'd like a little bit more body and oomph there, especially with the stout. Stout should feel stout on the palate. There's not much other taste notes for the palate other than that nuttiness, that roasted nut. And of course, the hops of the finish. It's almost an afterthought. All in all, there's nothing that's really bad about this. Um, I would have preferred a bit more complexity. An oatmeal stout to me, with my admittedly little experience with it, has some complexity to the tasting notes. This is fairly one-dimensional. Luckily, that one dimension's pretty good. It's not really changing as it warms up either. So yeah, I've kind of run out of things to say about this. All in all, Grandma's Oatmeal Stout. Nothing too bad. Again, a local brewer, so I don't like to, really hit local brewers if some, on things are completely subjective, and my taste preferences in beer are somewhat subjective. This was fairly one-dimensional to me, palate-wise. It's smooth, it's nutty, got some roast, got that hop finish to lend to the dryness. But yeah, you know, I just want a little bit more dimensionality there. You know, give me at least 3 or 4 taste notes with an oatmeal stout, and just a oomph more body too. But that again, that's subjective. Again, nothing bad. I'm definitely going to finish my growler here, but just a sense of uh, mild disappointment. Again, not hitting on the brewer or this beer. I was just expecting a bit more, and that's all. This might be your cup of tea. As with all things, taste is subjective. I don't like, as much as I love doing reviews, I don't like to pretend that what I'm doing is some sort of objective science. You might actually enjoy this, and there are some positive notes. It is very nice and smooth and silken on the palate. And, you know, there are some nice nose notes there. There are quite a few different notes in the nose. So, yeah, you know, give it a shot if oatmeal stouts are your bag. That's all I got to say, I guess. And, you know, give it a shot because there's not many oatmeal stouts to try here in Hawaii. And I look forward to trying more things from this brewer. Uh, you know, any brewer that is pretty active here in Hawaii has my support with some caveats, but I'm not going to mention that now. And yeah, that's your beer review for tonight, folks. Grandma's Oatmeal Stout from Lokahi Brewing. Cheers.